We wanted to talk to you about just really some information about human sexuality and HIV prevention, with opportunity to take a class that we'll be offering if you think it's the right fit for you. So Sarah is joining me tonight to really talk about a little bit about the curriculum, show you guys some examples, and really hopefully just give you more information to see if it's something that you're interested in joining us later on for. So Sarah, did you want to hop in?
Just wanted to say hi, everybody. Looking forward to spending the next hour or so with you. And yes, so Be Proud, Be Responsible is a program that Tracy has been doing for a couple of years now through the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services with their young adults. But it's also a program that we have been using, and I have done in lots of the public schools around Connecticut. Klingberg Family Centers has been using it. And a few other places sprinkled throughout the state of Connecticut. And it's a great HIV and relationship program.
I think we're going to ask you guys, let's see, my screen is not one moment.
Oh, yes.
I think we're going to ask you guys to sort of join us. If I could advance my slides.
There you go.
There we go. To join us virtually, if you would like, by going to www.menti.com. It's at the top of the screen. And you'll be prompted once you get there to dial in the number code that you'll see at the top of the screen as well. And feel free to sort of type in what your first name is, where you're coming from. And if you're not able to do that, or you don't really feel like doing that and you want to sort of introduce yourself, just feel free. You can raise your hand, type it in the chat box. We're happy to sort of kind of know where everybody is located throughout the state, and I wanted to sort of get a better idea as to who you are. And let us know if anybody has difficulty with actually accessing this. We'll give you guys a moment to try to log on.
Sometimes if you have a phone next to you along with your computer, it's sometimes easier to just join with a phone. But you could do either. And we have some folks in the chat. We have Emily from Wallingford, Alex from Thompson.
Oh, opposite sides of the state.
Linda and Julie in Mystic.
Nice. So we're going to ask you also, if you could only eat one food for the rest of your life, what do you think that might be? Sarah, would you want to share what your one food would be?
Mine would have to be tacos.
Tacos. Lovely.
I love pizza too. Oh, I guess you could add vegetables to both. Gotta make sure if it's only one food forever, I gotta have some variety.
Yep.
Tacos. Emily's got tacos too. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Ice cream. Yeah. Mint chocolate chip. All right. Anybody else? You're welcome to respond also in the chat. But I guess, oh, it looks like we got some folks on the Menti.
Got it. Good, good. Yeah, mac and cheese. Anything with cheese would be something I think I would have to resonate towards for sure.
Yeah. Jalapeno fajitas. I have a family member who puts a jalapeno on anything, everything. They eat jalapeno ice cream if they made it.
Yeah. You probably could get it made.
Yeah. All right. We got mac and cheese.
Nice.
Awesome.
Hi. My thing is directing it to a specific person, so I don't know if that's right or wrong.
And you're at menti, MENTI.com.
No, I was doing it under the chat and it says to Andrew Real.
Oh, so if you, right where you type, right above it, it says to, and then there's a little gray box with like a upside down arrow.
Okay, got it.
If you,
Thank you.
Yep. So this next one is gauging, like, what are people like, where are you at when it comes to education about HIV or about relationships? Maybe some of you are sitting there like, this lady keeps saying HIV and I don't know what she's talking about, or I know very little. That's okay. That's what we're kind of here to talk about and figure out. If you're on the Menti, we are asking, in your family, talking about healthy relationships with my family is awkward. Do you agree or disagree? And in the chat, if you're not doing the Menti and you're on the chat, you could just put agree or disagree.
You can even just do a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Yeah, you could do that too. If you've got, if you're the young person and you got your parents there, you could both respond. And it's okay if you want to both say something different. Because maybe like mom's really cool talking about it, but you're like, heck no.
Exactly. Oh, there we go.
The middle, yeah.
Nice. So a few of you have learned some things in school, and it looks like many of you want to know more about how people get STDs and HIV and how pregnancy happens. And how to prevent that. So that's excellent. That's essentially, that's a lot about what this curriculum is about how to prevent HIV and STDs. And we do talk about contraception, education, and family planning and pregnancy prevention. And we touch base on that as well. So.
Yeah. And someone just put in the chat, right? Like, HIV, it's been so long since some of us have had some education on it.
Yeah.
And so much has changed about it too. Even in the last 10 years, there's a lot of new information. So,
right.
For sure. And this stuff is not, HIV is required to be taught in Connecticut, but it's in Connecticut schools, but it's not a lot. It's very minimal. I think it's a half credit of health, which is about, it's less than a semester in school. So once throughout high school. So it's not really a requirement to really do a thorough talk about relationships, HIV and other STDs. So for sure.
So essentially, we're going to talk more about HIV and AIDS and knowledge and attitudes and learn some prevention skills. These are some things that we actually show within the Be Proud class presentation. We also do a lot around decision-making and negotiation and difficult situations. So how to have those hard conversations. And the ultimate goal is to teach you about how to reduce your risk and to recognize, what is risky. Not everybody might be familiar with what could be risky. So the curriculum Sarah already spoke about, it's called Be Proud, Be Responsible, and it is an evidence-based curriculum. We've been using it for quite some time, and my program has been delivering this really with the Young Adult Services statewide with the Demas Yaz program. And it's been very well received. A lot of people have a lot of fun at the end of the day. They sort of come in dragging their feet a little bit, like, not really sure if I want to do this. But then at the very end of the class, they're like, wow, this wasn't so bad. It was actually a lot of fun. We had a good time. So we've had a lot of really good feedback, and I'm sure Sarah's had the same.
Yeah.
It's basically, just to give you an idea as to what the structure is like, it's about 6 modules. So when we do this, our target right now is we're presenting this virtually. The modules are, just gonna skip to the next one. The modules are about 1 hour per week over about 4 weeks. So we start off with sort of the first module, and then we combine a couple of modules in the rest of the classes, and then we sort of end with module 6, leaving time for a lot of discussion. There's a lot of movies along the way, and we also will give everybody that participates a gift card for their participation and survey completion. So, Sarah, did you want to talk a little bit about the exit and entry surveys, sort of what they're about, and why we have them?
Sure. So the part of doing this Be Proud, Be Responsible program is some surveys, and the surveys ask questions about what do people know about pregnancy and STDs. They ask a little bit about what people know about how to prevent those things. And they do sometimes ask some questions about whether different behaviors that people have done or are thinking about doing. And the reason that they do these surveys is because this program is funded by a federal grant. So all states can apply and get a little bit of money so that they can train people, get materials, travel, give gift cards for it to help reduce HIV and unintended pregnancy. And so in return, they want to make sure that the states who do that are doing it well. And so they have these surveys. They're all anonymous. They don't take anyone's names. They don't look at anyone's individual responses. So they don't want to say like, oh, Emily, we're going to look and we're going to contact you about what you wrote. They don't do that. They don't even take contact information, like none of that. They just take everyone's scores from all over Connecticut and they put them all together and they look at the averages. And it's not a test. There's no wrong or right answers. It's just what you think, what you know. And they're really helpful for making sure that this program is being done in a helpful way. Because if it's not helpful, then they would want people to do a different program. And so that leads me a little bit into, Tracy, if you can maybe go back 2 slides to like why this program and not something else. And it's again because DPH, the Department of Public Health, is the one who kind of helped pick this and put on this program. They want to make sure people are using a program that's actually helpful, that's not going to like hurt anybody, that is going to actually work, and that we're not like experimenting on people with some program we just like made up. So Be Proud, Be Responsible is something that has gone through a lot of research to show that it helps people with things like they wait until they're older. People wait until they're older to start having sex. So like they really think about what's important to them and whether it's the right time. And then when they do decide to have sex, they use protection to prevent things like HIV and pregnancy. And for people who are already sexually active, it increases like healthy stuff, like having less partners and using protection. So that's part of the reason that they use this. It's had a lot of research done to show that this program is helpful and works. And if you want, you can go ahead, Tracy, if you want to show some of the activities and lessons.
Sure. So I just wanted to show you guys some samples of what some of the curriculum looks like. So in the very beginning, we always like to make sure that everybody's feeling comfortable. So anybody that's in the class, the classes you're coming in on an invite only, sort of a very secured Zoom call, kind of like tonight, right? You guys are used to meeting this way. Not anybody, just from whoever can join. So we keep that really, protected. But together, everybody in the group will decide like what's really important to you about how you want to maintain your ability to participate, to learn the information, and to feel safe and comfortable in the environment. And and talking about some sensitive topics. Not everybody has the same reaction. Not everybody has the same type of experiences or knowledge. So we want to recognize that everybody is, we include everybody. And so some of the things we'll say is like, well, hey, don't yuck my yum. Have any of you guys ever heard of that before? We like that sort of term, and it's like, oh, well, if I like to eat snails and Michael doesn't like to eat snails, I don't want Michael to go, ew, that's gross, and really sort of make me feel bad because of what my preference is, right? So we really like to make sure that everybody has a say in how you want the group to agree or disagree or have conversations. So we'll ask questions like, what does it mean to have, to be proud and to be responsible? And then we'll have some answers that can pop up. And some of them might be you feel happy about something that you've done or that you've accomplished, or being proud and responsible is like you value yourself. You've done something that you feel really good about because you used values that were important to you. And being dependable and dedicated and committed, reliable, those are all really important things that show us that they're proud and responsible behaviors. So some examples of what are those behaviors can be protecting yourself by using a condom during sexual intercourse, not using alcohol and drugs, abstaining from sex altogether if you choose. And some people might not even know, what does the word abstaining mean? So we'll explain that. Abstaining means not having sexual intercourse. Does not necessarily mean you're not in a relationship with somebody and that you can't have other, affectionate activities. It means you're not having sexual intercourse. So. And we'll ask, how do people get HIV? So these are some of the examples. You can get HIV with having sex without a condom. And you can get it by sharing needles and drugs that are injected. You can get it in pregnancy and childbirth from a mother to a baby. There are ways to prevent the transmission from a mother to a baby, and there are ways to protect yourself instead of having sex without a condom by using sex with a condom appropriately. And then also by not sharing drug or any kind of paraphernalia. And how is HIV not transmitted? So we know that it's not transmitted with general contact. Sarah, do you want to give some examples here?
Yeah, because we want to also let people know the things that they can do, not just the things that they can't do.
Right.
And, there's lots of things that people can do that and still be safe. And so HIV is not spread through sharing a hairbrush or holding hands. It's not spread through kissing. It's not spread through if you take a drink out of somebody else's, water bottle. So those are the things that wouldn't spread this type of sickness. So we'll talk about that. We talk about that too, because there's a lot of myths out there.
Yeah.
Some people think HIV is spread from mosquitoes because mosquitoes go into people's blood, but they do not. Mosquitoes do not spread this kind of a sickness.
I often hear the toothbrush one. Like, what if I share a toothbrush? Because what if somebody's gums are bleeding? Can I get it that way? So there's a lot of questions that often come up. So we try to dispel a lot of the mystery around all of this. So we're going to show you a little video clip about what is HIV. This is one of the examples of a video that we would use when we're in class. So we thought we'd bring one for tonight for you guys to see an example.
Sure, I'll download this program from an unknown source.
Can you all hear?
It's free.
Thumbs up.
Oh my gosh, What's going on? My laptop is frozen. My antivirus is down. My computer is infected.
Hello and welcome to the greatest game show on television, True or False, with your host, Dr. Hill. Good evening, everybody. Today's subject is HIV. HIV stands for Human Immunodeficiency Virus. It is the virus that can lead to the development of the disease AIDS. HIV attacks the body's immune system. Untreated, HIV reduces the number of T cells in the body. T cells are what help your body to fight disease, and HIV can destroy so many of them that the body becomes vulnerable. Infections and other kinds of illnesses can take advantage of a very weak immune system. And now, to our contender, Christy. We will give her statements about HIV, and Christy will have to choose whether they are true or false. Are you ready, Christy? Here is your first statement. You can tell by looking at someone whether they have HIV. You are correct. The only way to know if a person has HIV is to get an HIV test. Second statement. You can get HIV through casual contact or being near someone with HIV. You are wrong. Oh, HIV can only be spread through bodily fluids. It can be transmitted through sex, by sharing a drug needle, or being breastfed by someone who has HIV. If a pregnant woman is living with HIV and doesn't get the proper treatment before giving birth, her baby could be born with HIV. You cannot get HIV from sharing a glass, hugging, or sharing a bathroom with someone who has HIV. Okay, and now for the final round, the quick round. Here is your statement. This product can prevent a person from getting HIV. Condoms, birth control pills, a medicine called PrEP. You are correct. You got them all right. When you have sex, condoms can help provide protection. And for people at high risk for HIV, a doctor can now prescribe a medication called PrEP that can be taken to lower their risk. And we have a winner. Tell her what she won. You win an HIV home testing kit. And for all you back home, remember, once you begin to have sex, it's important that both you and your partner get tested for sexually transmitted diseases and HIV on a regular basis. Good night, everybody, and we'll see you next time on True or False. That's it. It's fixed. Don't forget to use protection next time.
Till next time, don't forget to visit me at amaze.org or go to my YouTube channel to watch more. Bye.
So that's that's a possible video that we could use. We actually have a ton of videos to use for this curriculum. Some of them are animated like this one. Some of them are not. But this one we chose for this because it is a shorter video with just some information. And just to put this out there too, amaze.org, where this comes from, has a number of videos that span most age ranges, and they even have a section for parents and they have a section for teens. So if this is something that you're looking to talk more about in your family, that can be a good place to watch some videos together. We have lots of different topics.
Excellent. So we also will do some activities as back to the curriculum examples on myth versus facts, where everybody can vote and sort of say, is this true or do they think this is false? I have a little difficulty advancing my slides. I apologize. And here's some examples of that as well. And you can see birth control pills can prevent HIV, which is negative or a myth. If you kiss someone with HIV, you will get it. So we go through a bunch of questions really to sort of reinforce the information on what is actually a risk factor and what is not a risk factor. Still having trouble. So Sarah, did you want to talk about who's responsible for, and I'm going to try to work on this
Sure.
advancing. Thank you.
Oh, sure. So we talk a lot in the curriculum about how it takes communication between two people to really talk about this stuff and prevent HIV and prevent pregnancy. It's not just the responsibility of one person. Both people in that relationship have to be able to talk to each other, and they also have to agree and be safe. If one person is saying no, or they don't agree, then that's not giving consent. And so it wouldn't be okay to do sexy stuff with them. So we talk about that a lot in the curriculum also.
I just heard that you guys weren't able to see the slides. I apologize. Can you see them now? I guess I didn't take back the share screen after you were done. Great. Thank you. That's why I was having difficulty. Or so I thought. So not only do we talk about HIV and STDs and ways to prevent them, but we also talk about how to use condoms appropriately, how to use them by, we can have some demonstrations on how to put a condom on properly. We can use some videos. We have other activities sort of to make sure that everybody is aware of all the different steps. We don't ever assume that anybody is actually having sex or wanting to engage in sex, but at some point in time in someone's life, usually people get to that point and we want you to be properly informed. So the information is really only to give you, the knowledge, the actual factual knowledge, so that you're not getting just random knowledge from different places that might not be the right thing. So, are you guys still have Menti popped up on your devices? Excellent. So you guys can vote on true or false. Before any kind of sex, both people must consent.
You can also put it in the chat, or you can use thumbs up or thumbs down if you want. I see a couple of thumbs up. I see some trues in the chat box. True. Yeah, you've got it. Right. So again, both people have to agree. It's not okay to do sexy stuff with somebody who doesn't want to. You got it.
And here's another question. So true or false? The first step in using a condom is to check the expiration date on a package. Do you guys think that's true or false?
I see some thumbs up. If you're not sure, you can also write in the chat and say, I don't know, I'm not sure, because that's okay.
Right.
Maybe you're like, I don't even know what a condom is, or I'm not real sure. So that's okay too. Yeah, it is true. Yeah. So yeah, gotta check the expiration date. They're made out of a material that when they get old and they expire, they can break really easy. And then it wouldn't help somebody prevent HIV if it breaks. So I got to check that expiration date.
We talk about contraception options so that you're aware that there are things available to help prevent unwanted pregnancies. Not always do they prevent HIV and STDs. So we always recommend you talk to your doctor because everybody's body is different, everybody's needs are different. But we'll give you some general information that you can have a conversation, hopefully, with your doctor to see what's best for you. And again, we do a lot about HIV prevention, but we also try to cover pieces about contraception education to prevent unplanned pregnancies.
Tracy, you get a lot of questions when you do this class about how does pregnancy even happen, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So we can even dive a little deeper into that. So we really kind of take the questions in each individual class and answer them. We don't like people not to have the information that they're wanting. Not everybody understands all these different pieces. So we can do a lot in certain subjects or a little bit less, really all depending on what everybody's asking for. Some people come with different knowledge. So that's a good point, Sarah. And these are just some pictures of different types of contraception options. And Sarah, did you want to talk about consent?
Yeah. So the end of the curriculum, so like the whole last day is really spent figuring out how to talk to a romantic partner, a boyfriend or a girlfriend, about HIV, about things like condoms, and about doing sexual behaviors and whether that's something you even want to do. People can know all about HIV, they can know how to prevent it, but if they don't know how to talk to somebody about it, then it's going to make it harder to protect themselves. So we spend a lot of time just building those conversation skills, and also how to, like if someone is pressuring you, how to deal with that and how to respond. And it's not just like Tracy talking the whole time or me talking the whole time. It's interactive and sort of in a role. It's modified role plays because we're on Zoom, but there's a lot of things like we might say, well, what if a partner says, oh, condoms don't feel good, or I don't have a condom? And we come up with, as a team, come up with some responses that someone might say.
And then we really feel it's really important when you are having these conversations with somebody that you're close with, that you're in a relationship with, or someone that you're really trying to talk things through, that it's important that you communicate your feelings. You have to be direct and be honest. And you want to hear what their feelings are too, right? We had started by those group agreements earlier and talking a little bit about where everybody's knowledge base is different. Everybody has different backgrounds. We're all individual people. So learning the skill on how to go back and forth and have conversations and negotiate what's important to you and listen to what's important to them so that everybody is consenting and in agreement when any activities are going to happen. So how do you sign up for the classes that we're planning on offering for you if you feel this is a good fit? I've put in Michael Scanlon's information, and I think that you guys can reach out to him directly and he could start collaborating with me, and we can get a little list of people that are interested. And if you don't think that this curriculum is a good fit for you, there are some other options too. And I'm going to let Sarah talk about one of the other programs that she runs and facilitates.
Sure. So I will say, I know a lot of folks here probably have teenagers or some younger children, but I do a healthy relationships program with the Department of Developmental Services. It's different than this program. We really get into things like private and public, different types of relationships, what are the steps to dating. And we do cover a little bit about body parts, how they work. We talk about HIV a little bit and pregnancy there also. But this program is for 18 and over. The DDS has these self-advocate coordinators. They are leaders around the state. They work for DDS and they really advocate for people to have a right to relationships and to speak up and speak out. And they teach the class too, and they give a lot of input about what actually we teach and how to teach it. And these classes do typically run in the fall and spring. So I'm sorry if you're like, I want to do it like right now. We don't, over the summer, there aren't classes, but in the fall and spring there are, and you can find those on the DDS website. They have something called the Advocates Corner, and that is come fall time. That's where they'll list the dates for the classes.
And about how long are the classes, Sarah?
Oh, it depends what we're doing. If it's virtual, we break them up into different topics, and they're roughly three classes that are an hour and a half. It's on Zoom. If we end up being in person, they're long. It's 6 classes that are like 3 hours long, and they're in the evenings. We have like
Do you have to join for the whole thing, or can you come in at pieces? It's the whole thing, right?
Virtual pieces are okay. If it's in person, you have to do the whole thing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
So this is our contact information, and thank you guys for allowing us to sort of present a little bit of information about this particular curriculum. We're happy to take any answers. To answer any questions, get that backwards, to answer any questions you guys might have. I know we had about an hour slotted for this, so we're a little bit on the early side. We wanted to leave about 15 minutes or so for conversation, so feel free.
My daughter's 26.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of stuff she doesn't know, but there's stuff she does know. And she has autism. So high functioning autism. So what would be an appropriate program for her?
So within the young adult services, we have used Be Proud for some of the young adults, because the range has been, the biologic age versus where they're gaining information. They've done very, very well with Be Proud. It's generally geared towards high school students, but the young adults that we have been utilizing this are between the ages of 18 and 25, or 26 is usually when they age out of that YAS program.
So this program is called Proud?
Be Proud, Be Responsible. Mm-hmm. And I can, Sarah, do you want to throw up in the chat maybe the ETR? Can you do that?
Yes, you read my mind.
Is there any reason why someone couldn't do both? This program and the DDS one? No.
No, it's just if you're willing to wait, you just have to be 18 to do the DDS program. And if you don't mind waiting, that one takes place in the fall. So you could Be Proud over the summer and then do the DDS one in the fall. Because they're different.
They're pretty different, you said?
Yeah.
And the summer one you expect to be all virtual?
Yes.
And the fall?
We don't know yet.
And if it was in person, where would that be?
They're all over the state. So they'll do them usually at like the different DDS offices. Like the different regions.
Closest one here would be Norwood?
That sounds about right.
I think so.
Do they do them in Willimantic?
I don't think so. I think the closest to that would be like maybe East Hartford, but I don't know. I don't know if Sandy, if you're here, if you know where the, you know, what they do sometimes too is they do the recruitment for it. And sometimes they look to see where most of the people are coming from. And sometimes they might move it from one office to the other.
Do you have to be on DDS? Did I just see something? You have to be getting DDS services to get it?
I believe so. But again, that would be a question you could email. I'll put the website into the chat. You could email them about that and ask.
Yeah, we should double check on that, because it was at one time that was the case, but then when they went virtual, they were telling me something different. They were saying that they kind of had opened it up. So
That's
yeah.
Yeah, I just put in the chat that we've tried, I think, on 3 different occasions, because we're not in the DDS system, saying if there are openings, could we attend? And they said no.
Right.
So I keep trying, because I'm thinking, if there's availability, why couldn't we join in?
Right.
But yours is not DDS related.
No, if someone has the interest and, you know, after learning a little bit more about what our curriculum looks like, if they would like to join in, we're more than happy to have them join in. And if they felt at any point in time it wasn't a good fit or not appropriate, you're not required to have to stay either. You know, we really try to be adaptable to the needs when everybody sort of joins and signs on, and really ask, like, what is it that you want to learn most about? What do you already know about? So that we're sort of trying to really target what the individual needs are for that group.
And you brought up a great point. If I can just jump in for a second, I think there is that need, because you're right. So often there are these barriers where something great's out there, but do I qualify? So that's exactly why we're here tonight, and why we are going to be offering the summer series. So again, you all have my email, but it's mscanlon@cpacinc.org. I'll type it again in a minute, but I can be the gatekeeper for questions, registration. I can funnel you to Tracy or Sarah. And that's exactly why we want to be a resource, be helpful, be supportive. And so I don't want to speak for you, Tracy, but like you said, the curriculum is so flexible. So, you know, I'm sure there's ways to pull in, and we can really, again, adapt it to what do you all want to learn, what's really important to you. So we'll for sure make that happen as best as we can. And we do have about 14 or so minutes. Does anyone else have any other questions? I know we're right in dinner time, but we are available for another, again, 10, 15 minutes.
So I guess if you want to start off and not knowing that you can get into the DDS one, this would be a good place to start, because, you know, that video was a little bit immature for my daughter. So I was just wondering, do you do, depending on the age of the group, is that what you gauge what you're going to present to them?
Sometimes it is. Sometimes we have a very young group, and some of the more realistic role-playing movies that we have can be a little bit too much for them. So sometimes we'll utilize the more animated type videos. Others look a little bit more realistic and have more live person actors, you know, role playing out some scenarios. So it kind of does depend on a few different factors.
Do you mind if I ask you, with the surveys at the end, do the parents feel, I don't know if parents fill it out, that the children have the individuals have gained knowledge, a better understanding of all of that?
That's a great question. The surveys are typically completed by the participants. And we can also have some support if there's questions about the surveys, or they need some more help with filling out the questionnaires, because they can be a little bit, Sarah, help me with the,
Yeah.
right?
You know, surveys just aren't for everybody.
Yeah.
So so what we would do is, for this group, if it's important that the young person filling it out has some privacy, and they may not want to fill it out with their parents. And so we would provide some support where they could do the survey anonymously. And it might even be something like, I make a time with them and I sit and we're over Zoom and I read the questions to them and I write it down. If I'm definitely going to be like teaching with Tracy, then it probably wouldn't be me. It would be someone who wouldn't be teaching, because we don't want the person to feel like awkward about it. And so that's probably what we would do. If somebody wants to do the survey on their own, a young person, we have it in SurveyMonkey, so they could do it on the computer. Tracy could also provide paper copies. They could maybe get mailed to your house. You know, we're willing to do it different ways for different people.
And sometimes we have had some people that say, I don't want to answer that question, and they'll skip it and they'll go to another question, or they say, you know what, that question's I'm not okay with that for whatever reason, and they'll skip it. And we don't really, we don't look at the surveys. We don't know what the answers are. We do know the questions, obviously. So it can be completed, you know, in its entirety, or not. They're not always for everybody. We don't write the surveys. We don't have any control over how they read and what they say. Quite frankly, I think that they're a little bit daunting at times. And I will sometimes ask the classes, especially virtually because of the time constraints, you know, if you're comfortable, can you maybe fill this out beforehand and we'll be ready to go. And then at the end, your homework will be, and then I'll collect surveys that way. So it's, yeah, it can be, as Sarah said, they're not for everybody, but they're important tools that we do use on a national level to sort of really drive, you know, drive things for us for a lot of different reasons. And there's just no better way to get through that at this point that anybody has come up with as of yet.
So once we finalize the plans, we'll send an email out to everybody. Michael has everybody's email address, and you know, with the details and information that you would need to know. Sorry, Michael, I interrupted you.
Oh, no, it's okay. I was just gonna say, like, I know I've said in on a couple of Be Proud, Be Responsible classes, and I think this is me speaking for myself, but I think if I could share like the last takeaway, like I definitely thought it was especially great because you create such a welcoming, safe space. So like I never learned a lot, and I think even when I did learn about it in school, it was done in like a very kind of like crusty way, I like to say, where it's just very formal, like not engaging. I was not comfortable at all. So I think it's such a total turnaround the way you do it, because you know you are totally open for questions and just the environment, and I think that's so huge. And I especially loved the I put it in the chat, but the consent and negotiation, I think that was my biggest takeaway, is even in school you're not going to get the practice, how in the real world, how can I handle and be okay and, you know, stick up for myself, and that skill to, you know, help to be independent and really handle yourself. So I think that's huge. So I think it's amazing. And I just want to thank you and Sarah for doing this for us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. I appreciate it. The curriculum I really have found to be so good, and it's really most of the time been very well received, especially with some of the populations that we have been, you know, really providing it to.
Before, when we were sitting, I said something to my daughter about contraceptives or condom, and she said, well, that's not 100% sure. And she said, and that's why I'm never going to have sex, because I'm scared and I don't want to get pregnant. Well, that kind of scared me, worried me, you know. it's that fear.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah, that comes up a lot for folks when we do these classes too. And we really just we talk it out, and so people can kind of maybe help make that decision and know like how, right? We talk so much and we focus on HIV, and actually it's really low in Connecticut. Like, it's a very, it's a very low number of folks who have HIV. And so, yeah, Tracy kind of really makes it sort of this open environment that people can do things safely, and make it a personal choice.
Is there videos that you recommend?
Specifically on like HIV and stuff,
Or if she wasn't getting what, so she attended it and she still wasn't getting it all.
Yeah.
So I was just going to say, Planned Parenthood's got an excellent website with lots of information.
Okay.
I'm going to put 2 on here. So if you are, the first one I'm putting is, and I use these when I work with adults with DDS. It's talks all about more of the relationship kind of stuff, like consent, boundaries, steps to dating, that kind of stuff. And it is super helpful. They're free. I put it into the chat. You can watch those like with your young person, and you can just talk through them. So that's really helpful. You have to scroll all the way bottom to the page though, just so you know when you go. Like if you don't see it, keep scrolling. Like otherwise you're like, where is it? What is she talking about? And then I won't make you like wait while I type, but I'll put the videos from Planned Parenthood that are about like STDs, about consent, and those feature young adults. So I will, I'll put those in the chat. But I can't talk and do it at the same time.
Okay, I can't either.
Yeah.
And do you know when you anticipate this happening?
The Be Proud class series, I think we're holding some dates right now in July.
Yes. I think, Tracy, if I can jump in, we had 12th, 19th, and 26th, and then August 2nd, and that's from 3:30 to 4:30. So, and again, if we get a lot of feedback that like if that the time or the dates, if that is an issue for like a lot of people, I think, I don't want to worry, Tracy, but I think we can be pretty flexible because we want this to work and really be a helpful resource.
You said what was the days that you were looking at?
This will all be an email.
Right,
Linda.
right.
July 12th, 19th, the 26th, and then August 2nd from 3:30 to 4:30. I'm going to put it in the chat right now as well.
Okay.
All right, and we are at just a couple minutes left. Does anyone else have any other questions, comments? I just want to thank Tracy and Sarah, but we do have, just any last closing questions we do have a minute for.
I was also just gonna say too, like if the families here and the parents, if you wanted to do some sort of like either at the end of the month or the beginning of the month that this program runs, wanted to have a workshop just for you so that you could maybe ask questions about the curriculum or talk about some ways you can continue the conversation at home. I do a workshop about that, and Tracy, I can see maybe Tracy will come too, and we could do something like that.
That would be good.
Yeah.
And how many do you take into the program?
In for the Be Proud, I would say probably I wouldn't want more than 15 in the group at a time, just because of the topics that we're talking about.
Yeah.
I want it to be a comfortable space for everyone. But on the same token, I also probably wouldn't want to do this if there were just 1 or 2 people, because that becomes uncomfortable as well. It becomes a little bit too much of an intimate environment as well.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
A lot of good questions. I think we're pretty much at time. So again, Tracy and Sarah, thank you so much. This is so important. This is not talked about enough. Again, healthy relationships, healthy sexuality, like, you know, really talk the A through Z of how to navigate everything. So this is awesome. And again, thanks everyone for joining. This really was, again, as you learned, you got to take away some helpful hints, learned a little bit, and helpful for us to hear some feedback as we plan this, because we're really doing it for all of you. We want this to be helpful. So again, you have my email, mscanlin@cpacinc.org. I'll be that gateway for if you have questions, want to talk with Tracy or Sarah more. And again, we just thank you all so much for joining, and we'll talk to you all soon, and everything will be emailed out. So this does not end here, and we will be seeing you all for our summer session if you'll join us.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Nice to meet you all.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.